Hey viewers, today I'm going to show you how to connect and adjust the shifter cable on a bike with a Shimano 3-speed hub. Before we connect the shifter cable, I want to make sure that the shifter is shifted into the highest gear. What I want to do is make sure that the cable has the most slack here. So as I shift it down there, I'll have the most slack. I want to make sure that the cable housings are fully seated, and that the cable on this bike, there's a pulley back down here behind the chainring. I want to make sure that the cable goes around that pulley. On some bikes you might find that the pulley up here, and you want to make sure that the cable goes over the pulley like that. This is the bell crank assembly. Before I install it, I want to give you a close-up of what you're going to be looking for as you're adjusting the shifting. As we tighten the cable and we have the shifter adjusted into the middle gear or second gear, we want this N, there's a little N in a circle that's going to appear in this window, and we want that to be nice and centered inside this little window, and there'll be a line that appears in the slot. On this one it's a red line, and it'll appear centered in this slot, and that'll indicate that we have the shifting adjusted perfectly for second gear. Now this is an older style bell crank assembly, and I don't see too many of these, but on this one you have an arrow here and a line here, and you would adjust the cable until that arrow pointed right to that line like that. Now I want to install the bell crank, and this is the lock nut for the bell crank, so I'm going to turn this all the way back here, and then there's this push rod here. I want to make sure the push rod is installed in the axle, just slides right in there like that. And on the bell crank there's a stop screw. This limits how far I can screw this onto the axle, so I don't have to worry about putting on too far or not far enough. So what I'm going to do is just thread this onto the axle. Make sure you don't like cross thread it. It should screw on nice and smoothly. Just turn this on until it won't go on any farther. And so that's as far as it's going to go. Now on this bike, the shift cable comes from the area of the bottom bracket. On some bikes it might come down from the seat. We want to have this pointing in the direction to where the cable comes from. So I'm going to back this off like this. Now I want to attach the cable. There's a little lock nut here for the cable, and so what I'm going to do is back this all the way off like this, and then I'm going to screw this onto here about halfway. Like that. So now that gives me room to adjust the cable, either direction, so I can loosen it or tighten it. Now this cable stop also is involved in adjusting the cable. So right now the cable is really loose. I have the cable connected to the bell crank assembly there, and I have the shifter adjusted into the highest gear, so I have the most slack. What I want to do is loosen this clamp screw for the cable stop, and I'm going to slide this up until the cable is taut. And again, I want to make sure that the cable goes correctly over the pulley. And so when the cable is taut there, then I'm going to tighten this down into this position like that. Now I'm ready to adjust the shifting. I'm going to shift the shifter into the middle gear, one click, and now I'm going to adjust this little adjuster here until the N appears in the little window there, and the little line appears in that slot, and I see the little red line there, and that should be it. Now I want to test the shifting. I'm going to shift the shifter into the highest gear, and then as I turn the cranks, I want to check to make sure that the wheel is turning slightly faster than the cog, and it is. So now I'm going to shift it into the middle gear, one click, and as I turn it, the wheel should be turning the same speed as the cog, and it is. And now I'm going to shift it into the lowest gear, and in this case the cog should be moving slightly faster than the wheel, and it is. So everything looks real good. So now I'm going to lock off the cable adjuster here, and then I'm going to tighten this little lock nut here for the bell crank, and I'll tighten that in position there. There, all done. So that is how to connect and adjust the shifter cable on a bike with a Shimano 3-speed hub. Hope you found that useful or interesting. If you did, please click like. I always appreciate getting likes on my videos. It helps me out. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, click the big yellow subscribe button and you'll see new videos as they come out. And I'm always coming out with new videos. And I'm also over on Facebook, RJ the Bike Guy. Go over there, like that page, and I post a lot of stuff over there too. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.